So we've got the cars now heading into Brooklands then, getting themselves into the 2x2 formation, ready for the rolling start. It's 50 minutes. The pit stops come between 20 and 35. You don't have to have a co-driver, but the provision is there to enable you so to do. So here they come. The pace car peels into the pit lane, and Mark Lee versus Rob Baker then at the front of the grid. The Ginetta versus the Golf. Second row of the grid, Johnny McGregor, Julian Wantling's Ginetta alongside as they come then up now towards the lights on the gantry. Richard Ashmole has got himself back to where he would have been before the spin. The lights go out, we go racing and down towards Copse Corner. Who's it going to be that turns in first on the inside line? Mark Lee finds just about enough traction, so the Ginetta hangs onto the place but runs a little bit wide, and Rob Baker in the Golf comes back and in side by side up towards Maggots.
Here they come then up towards Maggots, and in the lead is the Ginetta, but only just being challenged around the outside by the Clear. They're side by side as they go into and sliding sideways, but is he going to catch it? Yes, he has caught it, but it was a big wild slide by the Golf of Rob Baker, 90 degrees to the direction of travel, but using the front wheel drive to good effect. He got the car back pointed in the right direction, and off he sets down the straight. But into the lead, of course, after all that side-by-side stuff, is number 74, Mark Lee.
Okay, the pit lane is emptying itself of cars, so we've got pretty much now
and a late
else.
starter was the 90 car as well, that's just literally gone out.
Right, okay, that was the Mazda I was getting concerned about, so I'll add that to your list of pit lane starters. Right, thank you, Gary.
Well, that was a big moment by number 6, but well held, Rob Baker.
So the Golf versus the Ginetta. We've got the cars then coming to the end of Vale. And Rob Lee goes out wide, and it's going to be Nigel Greenstall's yellow BMW I would offer you, Ian, as the leader when they get to you, because the Ginetta slithered out wide at the end of Vale through Club, that very difficult left and right, and Nigel Greenstall found the gap on the inside, so the more standard looking yellow BMW then into the lead as they turn through Abbey.
On the basis of past experience of success and so on, Nigel Greenstall is a likely leader, and he is the leader as the cars come into Village for the first time. Being challenged there by the Ginetta, but the BMW, the pale yellow BMW, which is Nigel Greenstall at the wheel, turns through the loop, pressed strongly by the Ginetta at the moment, the number 74 Ginetta there in second place. And a gap has opened up to third place car, which is number 33 Johnny McGregor in the Mazda RX-8, but he's some way back already from the leading Nigel Greenstall in front then as they head down back into your sight for the first racing lap.
So here they come then to wriggle their way up through Brooklands. It is indeed Nigel Greenstall in the lead of the race. In second spot then going after him, it is Mark Lee in the Ginetta. A little bit of a gap is opening up before you get Johnny McGregor in third place, and then fourth is pretty much everybody else all in a queue. The road is getting drier. Nigel Greenstall then is going to lead at the end of lap 1, but of course David Gooding might not be able to match his pace in the second stint, so Nigel's got to do the hard yards here. Mark Lee second, Johnny McGregor third. Fourth over the line now is Axel van Niederhaven, and the cars file their way down through Copse. In fact, the timing screen is having a bit of an aberration now, so we've got corrected order. It is 30 Greenstall ahead by about a second from Mark Lee.
71 very slowly past me here, heading, I suspect, for the pit lane. That's Paul Fullick with his Team Brit BMW 118, and the leaders still close, so Nigel Greenstall at the moment has opened up no kind of lead at all over Mark Lee. In third place it is still number 33 Johnny McGregor, and in fourth place number 111, as it was with David, Alex van Nederveen. So the car's now stretching out. The leaders will be down at Stowe, if not beyond, as the tail enders come out of Copse Corner.
Yeah, and the battle is on for third place, in fact, because now Van Niederveen is on the tail of number 33 of Johnny McGregor. So the white Ginetta looking for third place. Let's see what happens at the end of Vale then, because that's where the cars will emerge in a moment on the next camera that we have. And as Nigel Greenstall leads, he's got the Ginetta as the road dries, bearing down on him. It's still McGregor third. It is Nederveen in that fourth place, and then Rob Baker, despite trying to lead at Copse Corner on the first lap, down in fifth, sort of heading the next wave of cars.
Lucky Kira, incidentally, car number 98, gained 20 places on the opening lap. And is already up into 25th place, number 98. One to keep an eye on that red BMW.
Definitely.
Meanwhile, the yellow BMW leads the way, snaking under braking for Village. Still, Mark Lee is close, and they are, although on the opening lap, Nigel was charging through to the front, and the first two seem to be getting away. The next two are, well, they're side by side apart from everything else, and it is just in front is the number 8, was it? Kevin Hancock. Some of these numbers get confused with the livery of the car. But we have had a change for third place, David.
Okay, we'll keep an eye to it, because that would be for third. No, same order. Still Johnny McGregor ahead of Axel van Nederhaven, so nothing's changed there. What has changed behind? Let's check, because as Nigel Greensill heads up towards Woodcote, we have a drive-through penalty for number 11, because Richard Ashmole is being done for an out-of-position start, quite rightly. So the leader goes through. It is Nigel Greensill in the lead. Second then is Mark Lee. Third is McGregor. Fourth is Axel van Nederhaven. Then Van Nederveen, I should say. Then fifth is Rob Baker. Sixth, it is the Rob Smith Peugeot. Rob, one-time touring car racer, going really nicely. So the order the same, and Nigel Greensill trying to build that lead back. Van Nederveen has done the fastest lap.
And Brian Branson is up into 8th place, number 40. And what about Lucky Kera? He is 18th now.
Yeah.
Only gained 7 places though, the second lap.
Yeah, must try harder.
So the tail enders coming past me. And looking to see whether there's anybody else who's gaining ground. Well, certainly Lucky Kera's a man on the move, up 18th place. And his lap time 2:29, the fastest lap. Van Nederveen, I see, 2:24.026.
Yes, I just mentioned that, and that's carrying him closer and closer to the back of Johnny McGregor all the time now. Got spots of rain trying to fall on this side of the circuit. We've also got, is that the Nissan of Dave May coming into the pit lane rather slowly?
Yes, it crept past here.
Yeah.
It's only just now coming into the pit lane.
It is. That's the 370Z, I think that is. But anyway, it's slow down the pit road. Looks good, but it's not going very quickly.
Right. Maybe spots of rain are helping Nigel Greensill with his experience and speed, because he's opened up a small gap. In fact, the gap first to second is as great as it is second to third. Whereas there's still a battle going on, very much so. Nigel Greensill through Aintree on his third lap. In second place, Mark Lee. And then in fourth place, one moment is number 33 in fourth place, the next moment is in third place, then the next moment is number 111. They're still fighting hammer and tongs for third place, changing different parts of the circuit.
Nigel Greensill not necessarily getting away, but he's not under any pressure on this lap. The real pressure is coming from fifth place, all being applied to Rob Baker by Rob Smith, who in turn has got Julian Wantling right up behind him in the Assetto Ginetta. Nigel Greensill comes through then, the yellow BM leading Mark Lee's Ginetta. Johnny McGregor third, having a better run than he did in the Taranis yesterday. In fourth place, Axel van Nederveen goes through. Now for fifth, Rob Baker versus Rob Smith as they go down towards Cops Corner. The Golf versus the very, very smart Peugeot RCZ, and then a possible move behind there as well, because Neil Wallace was having a look at Brian Branson, but to no avail. Where is Lucky Kera's BMW? There it is. It goes through now, breaks the beam, and on that lap, he is up into 15th place.
All right, yes, Nigel Greensill easing away now as he comes through Beckett's for the fourth time from Mark Lee, who has just set a new fastest lap. And then in third place, Johnny McGregor, as David says, Axel van Nederveen fourth, and the battle between Baker and Rob Smith, is in number 20, isn't it, continues. And they've been joined by number 128, Julian Wantling. But that car, of course, is destined to be taken over by Jim Edwards, no less a person.
Into pit lane is the 11 car, the Motus 1 car. Which I think you said was Richard Ashmole, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's his drive-through penalty, because he had the spin on the formation lap.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Did
straight
start
out.
as he should.
Yeah, straight out pit lane again. Yeah, straight through.
Okay.
Leader into farm, and although it looks as though he was getting away slightly, that gap is not, if anything, it's less. There's only about half a length between them now. The BMW is still in front of the Ginetta, but of course on the previous lap, Mark Lee set the fastest lap of the race so far. I'm sure you're right about the spots of rain, David. So through go the first two, and Axel van Nederveen won't give up. He's still snapping at the heels of the number 33 Mazda RX-8 in third place as they head back down Wellington Straight for the fourth time.
But these spots of rain are certainly becoming rather more obvious over here. So you've got pairs now, one for the lead, one for third. Mark Lee is almost on the back of Nigel Greensell, up from the third row of the grid, but definitely Axel van Nederveen is all over the back of the third-placed Johnny McGregor-driven Mazda as they come up towards the timing line. So the leaders go through, no change. The RX-8, that mighty rear wing on the back, goes through. Axel van Nederveen tucked up behind. Then the Robs, Baker versus Smith. Julian Wantling is almost with them. And then you've got Brian Branson in the grey BMW in 8th place next. In 9th place, going through the Team Brit BMW, which has got, doing the opening stint, Chris Overend. A big gap, though, before you get 10th, which is now Steve Rothery. And in 11th is Lucky Kerr. Yes, Gary.
And into the pit lane is the 7 VW that's obviously had an off somewhere because all the front near side tyres completely shredded off the rim.
Oh dear.
They're checking the, not too much damage on the bodywork, but the front splitter is off, so looks as if they're going to change the front wheel and then maybe get that car back out again.
Which was that, Gary? Sorry.
This is the 7 VW.
All right.
So that's Robert Taylor in the renumbered Mark V Golf, yeah. So we're currently on lap 5.
We've got a car being snatched out of the way. You may be able to, I can't see the number, I'm afraid, David. It's hidden behind the snatch vehicle, coming out of farm into village.
Right, let me find a camera, bear with. Talk amongst yourself.
Yes. To say that the lead still held by Nigel Greensell.
It is a Clio that is being snatched away.
Okay.
And I would offer you number 41, Giles Billingsley. It's a white Clio with a green wing and wheels, and it's got a damaged front.
Okay, well, Giles Billingsley is driving car 41, so I think you're spot on. As we have the leaders turning through the loop for the 5th time. Nigel Greensell, I'm sure he's not sandbagging, pushing as hard as he can, but still staying less than a second clear. And then it is the Mazda still just ahead of Axel van Nederveen, but Axel looking for a way around as they come down towards Brooklands. Maybe a change about to happen.
Let's have a look. BMW, then Ginetta for the lead, and for third place, no, it is still Johnny McGregor ahead, so Axel van Nederveen is behind him. He's a kind of rear Axel now because he's still behind. He can't find a way through. Lappery is imminent because Steve Brown's Mazda is going to be negotiated shortly. Here then comes the Nigel Greensell BMW. Mark Lee not getting any closer, but van Nederveen's Ginetta is very definitely poised for a move.
Yeah.
Trouble is that those spots of rain have just done a little bit more harm to the track surface, so your line at Cops where you want to be overtaking is greasy again.
It's not too bad down here in pit lane, guys, actually. There's no spots in here, but obviously dangerously black clouds overhead. But the Robert Taylor VW pushed to the back of the garage, so I think that's going to be game over for this race.
All right, thanks, Gary, for that.
And also the 41 Clio he's not going to get back into the race. It's out behind the barriers.
Yes, with its damaged front, which is a great shame.
Lucky Kerr has the new fastest lap. He's now 10th, or possibly even better than that before the end of this next lap. But after 5 laps, he's got the fastest lap.
The Nissan is in again, clearly trouble, the 370Z, so that car back down the pit lane. Nigel Greensell's advantage, 11/10 of a second last time around from Mark Lee. Lucky Kerr's next target is going to be the Chris Overend Team Brit BMW, and he is 4.5 seconds away from that, but he is catching very definitely.
Yes, comparative lap times. Lucky Kerr last time to 2:21.3, and the number 70 car 2:25. So yes, he'll catch it in a lap the way he's going. So number 111, I think, has now made it through
Into third place. At
must have been Cops, I think, because it had happened by the time they got to me.
Right, okay. So the race leaders currently on lap number 6.
Now, side by side, sorry, now the Mazda slows as it comes through village and has been passed. So they're the 2 leaders. And yes, we now have Axel van Nederveen. He is certainly in third place. I think the Mazda trying to tripped over itself coming into, went a little bit too deep, missed the braking point, and has lost the place as a result, as you will see in a moment, David.
Okay, so Nigel Greensell is the race leader, but on this lap, Mark Lee looks a little bit closer to him. Then third and fourth, as you say, Van Nederveen is ahead now of Johnny McGregor. We've got more Lappery for them to negotiate. So the next car that they will have to sort out is Ginetta number 31 of Tony Whitney. The leaders now break the beam and put 6 laps in the book. So it is Greensole ahead of Lee, gap. Third, Van Nederveen. Fourth, McGregor, gap. Fifth is Julian Wantling. In 6th place is still Rob Baker ahead of Rob Smith. And then Brian Branson is next as they go over the line of the BMW. This time makes a move to the inside line down towards Copse Corner. All the power of the BM carries him ahead of Rob Smith, and he does go through then. So Brian Branson goes through up into now 7th place.
Right, I heard the first 4 pass me through Maggots, and so you've got a new, yes, the new 7th place car. So change for Brian Branson up into 6th place. 7th place, sorry.
Because Nigel Greensole's not on the screen, you'll have noticed.
That's right.
There's a transponder glitch. So he has gained the place. That'll be reflected in due course. And the pace that he's got suggests that it won't be long before Brian Branson has a go at Rob Baker either.
Thin pickings for Lucky Carer that last lap. He only gained 1 place. And then the next one, 2 places. And Nigel Greensole's lead is 0.8 of a second at the end of the previous lap.
Yeah, and it's not enough to give him a cushion for David Gooding, who is quick but not as quick. David has come to historic racing in the last few years with Nigel's assistance, but now modern motor racing. And as the pit window looms, to the pit lane comes one of the multitudinous Clios. 177 dives in. So that's Andy Bollinson to give way to Carlito Moracco.
Now, Lucky Carer is 23 seconds behind the leader, so I think Lee Frost, who we saw yesterday go very, very well in the 3-hour race, he's not going to be able to get into the lead, is he?
Well, it depends who the leader is. I think he'll catch David Gooding. I'm not convinced he'll catch Owen Hizzy. So it depends when you ask that question who you're assuming will be the race leader. But I think they can certainly gain more places, and I think we're in for a big shuffle in the second part.
Indeed. Well, Axel Van Nederveen, of course, going solo could help him.
The Porsche Boxster through, which is the Kevin Hancock Lee Smart Gemco Racing entry. And sitting out in the elements, number 99 at the MX-5 there going through. Josh Poulain.
Lucky Care has gained another place.
And the leaders go by, and it's a much bigger gap this time. So Nigel Greensole from 0.8 has managed to pull away, possibly because of traffic, to a margin that we'll give you when it's confirmed. But he's much further ahead. 2 seconds now. In 3rd place remains Van Nederveen, who is not lapping as quickly as those ahead of him. In 4th place is Johnny McGregor. 5th is Julian Wantling. Brian Branson has got past both Robs now, Baker as well as Smith, so he's 6th. Baker 7th. Smith is 8th. And then in 9th place it is Lucky Carer. So what's happened on that lap to Chris Overend? He's dropped back into 10th is the answer for Team Brit.
Right, well, 128 Julian Wantling is now right on the tail of Johnny McGregor, and Johnny McGregor is 3.25 seconds behind Axel Van Nederveen.
And Jim Edwards to take over the 128 Ginetta for the second stint. So 32 minutes on the clock. Lots of traffic still pouring out of Woodcote, but a good lap that by Nigel Greensole to really stretch the margin again.
Yes, and looking at the lap time for Mark Lee at 2:24.5 last time around is not as quick as he's done.
No. So I think traffic was the answer.
Yeah.
Because there was a lot of it out there, which is good to see.
Now, Brian Branson, we've got up into 6th place, haven't we?
Yeah.
In the number 40 BMW.
And a 2:27 lap last time for Johnny McGregor, possibly traffic related, suggests that he might be able to gain more ground before the pit stops.
Lucky Carer, only 1 place gain on that lap, now 9th.
No surprise really, given how tough it is up further up the order, isn't it? But it's not been a bad stint, and certainly going better in the drier conditions now than we had in qualifying.
I think it's fair to say he's probably overtaken more other cars than anybody else in the race.
It's also fair to say he's got his money's worth for his weekend. He's done a lot of laps, as well as Lee Frost. Now, the race leaders have got a back marker between themselves. So Nigel Greensole has got the very smart grey Boxster of Lee Smart between him and Mark Lee, who pulls up now to have a go and sort him out on the inside line. A lonely 3rd for the moment is Axel Van Nederveen, and then for 4th and 5th and 6th, well, 4th is Julian Wantling, 5th is Johnny McGregor, so that change has happened, and McGregor is about to lose another spot, I reckon, because Brian Branson is right there behind him as they come through. So it's Mazda versus BMW heading down towards Cops Corner now, Ben. And Brian Branson lines up for the inside line. Little dab of the brakes as he finds out it's a bit greasy and does commit to the inside line. But Johnny McGregor fends him off as they come out the other side. The BMW has the grunt heading towards you.
Here they come then. I was just watching the leader being caught as well. Nigel Greensall has certainly been closed in on by Mark Lee once more. So Johnny McGregor there in 5th place. And Lucky Carer, I think he's getting in amongst 2 or 3 more cars to gain a couple more places before the pit stop start, which could be fairly soon, David. Well, yes, pit window
now.
open.
Yes, there's the window open, but it depends whether you're the quicker or the slower driver.
Yes.
Nigel Greensall, I think, will maximise the available opportunity behind the wheel. The driver that starts this race can't start the second, so we can work it out from there.
Yes, Mark Lee last time around did the new fastest lap of the race, which perhaps explains why the gap has closed up again to Nigel Greensall. So Julian Watling in 4th place, and the leaders coming into the loop. The gap, as we were saying, went up quite a bit 2 or 3 laps ago. Now it's beginning to come down again, but not so that Nigel's under a serious threat at any braking position to be overtaken. There's Axel van Nederveen being chased by Julian Watling, who's really getting stuck in now, isn't he?
Yeah, the more laps he does, the more confident he gets.
Yes.
Race leaders are at Luffield then, back markers up the road, but Nigel Greensall hangs on in there. Now the pit lane, as we say, is open, the pit window is open. So do we have, for example, Mark Lee bailing this time ahead of Nigel? You've got back markers being side by side, but the BMW leads. Then in 2nd spot, 74, Mark Lee goes through. Gap back. 3rd is Axel van Nederveen with Julian Watling, as you say, getting well wound up now, bringing down that gap before he gives over to Jim Edwards Jr. And into the pit lane comes Johnny McGregor. So this is the first, if you like, scheduled stop from the leading gaggle, and that's going to give Lucky Carer another place anyway. He's just cleared Rob Baker as well as Rob Smith, so he goes across the line now, so that puts Lucky Carer up into 5th as down the pit lane comes Johnny McGregor.
A car that's gained huge amounts of places from the 21st row of the grid is in 13th place. The number 13 Ryan Parkin Audi TT. That's probably overtaken as many cars as Lucky Carer nearly. Regular front runners in track day trophy races, the Parkins.
The Audi TT, which we've not really touched on, but it's another smart looking car, is coming down the pit lane. That's Ron Parkin's entry, and he's in for his scheduled stop, and there are more heading for the pit road as well. I won't give you all of them, but suffice to say that number 19 comes in, so that's Callum Noble's very smart BMW. There's one of the many Ginettas behind him, and then one of the many Clios comes hurtling in next in the queue as well.
Nigel Greensall and Mark Lee very evenly matched. Their last lap of 2:22.7 for Nigel, 2:22.6 for Mark. And you may have said this, David, Lucky Carer now 5th.
I did say that,
yes.
Yep, and he'll be up and down the order now, depending on people pitting around him. But it's going to be Lee Frost that's the one to watch in the second part of the race. So in terms of a gap, they are now 20 seconds away from the current leading car. But the second part of this race is going to be very intriguing indeed. Right, more for the pits, including this time, who's that? 76 BMW comes in, so that's William Lynch that we get used to seeing in historic Alton A35s, and he pits as the leaders with the reduced gap this time come once more into Luffield. So it's still Nigel Greensall leading the way. It is still Mark Lee behind him. And we've got 26 minutes of the 50 to go, and in they both come. So Nigel Greensall is in, and Mark Lee comes in as well. So they were 1-2 on the track. They're going to be 1-2 down the pit lane.
The 33 car back out onto track, so the pit stop done for Johnny McGregor's team. I'll see if I can have a quick word with Johnny before walking completely down the other end of the pit lane to get the other guys.
Oh, this is going to give us, just for Ian's benefit, I think Lucky Carer in the lead of the race, because the red BMW has come storming through the traffic, and so that pit's now where did Julian Wantling go to? Oh, no, they have gone through, sorry. So, yes, Van Nederveen and Wantling are still first and second. Lucky Kera third now, with people pouring into the pit lane.
Yeah, where we're Johnny McGregor. Johnny, first good session for you, lining your third spot.
Yeah, it was good. The start was a bit sketchy because obviously we were on the inside and it was quite slippery on the inside, but it was a comfortable start. Probably could have been a bit more aggressive in hindsight. The car's running well. Just getting a bit squirrely at the back because the tyres are getting a little bit hot, so we dropped the pressures and sent Josh out, so it should be good.
Good man. Okay, thanks a lot. Cheers.
Just to say that the new leader there is Axel Van Nederveen, unless he's been overtaken by the closely following Julian Wantling. Those two running nose to tail as they came into Beckett's just now.
Okay, so Julian Wantling, who will soon end his work in this race, whereas Axel Van Nederveen, as we've been saying, is a soloist. He will go to the end. They're still squabbling for the race lead. And behind them is Lucky Kera, who was a chunk slower on his last lap, but you can possibly put that down to traffic.
Yeah, a couple of seconds slower than normal, let's say. Right, so it should be the all-white Ginetta that we see as the leader for the moment.
So on track, Axel Van Nederveen leads from Julian Wantling, and the BMW in fact has stayed ahead of the Ginetta, so it's panic over. So Nigel Greenson's car, David Gooding at the wheel of it, is still the best placed of those that have made a pit stop.
Yes, the gap between Lucky Kera in third place at the moment in the number 98 BMW and the Julian Wantling Ginetta is 11 seconds.
Julian Wantling goes through and Axel Van Nederveen comes into the pit lane. So Julian Wantling leads at the end of 12 laps, and Ginetta has spun just ahead of Lucky Kera, but that's okay because he was going the other way to the pit lane. The Ginetta I'll come to in a moment. Lucky Kera comes into the pit lane then. So Van Nederveen in, Lucky Kera is in. Rob Smith is in as well in the very smart Peugeot RCZ. The spinning Ginetta was number 27, which has got going again. That was Luca Hurst. So 1:28 is the current race leader now. Julian Wantling maximising his time available before he gives way to Jim Edwards Jr.
So Nigel, good first stint for you, leading it right until the end, but Mark Lee was closing on you towards the end of the session.
Yeah, it's just been quite amazing because David Gooding has just bought the car from Jeff, and the first time it ran was Friday. The first time we'd seen it was Friday. We ran round and the car felt good. You know, Jeff and Will and Rob, they're just such a brilliant team. And they put together an amazing car. So, yeah, we had a ride round on Friday and it all felt fine. And I said to Jeff, don't touch anything. Let's just go racing, you know. And David did fantastic in qualifying this morning, and then I got us a little bit further up. And, that first lap was fantastic because when the conditions are like that, every corner is an adventure, you know. You never really know whether you're going to survive the next corner, and I love it like that, so it's just wild.
Where are the wet patches at the moment?
Just mainly on the circuit.
Everywhere.
Yeah, there's wet patches here and there, and it was nice midway through when it rained a little bit more, and this is going to get even more exciting here, but then that stopped, so it's just, there's a few damp patches, but you don't worry about them, you know, just go flat out.
Great stuff, thanks Nigel, cheers.
I think that car is the Nigel Innes car, that BMW, and it was a front runner in various championships like this.
Now Julian Wantling stays out as the race leader and has yet to pit, therefore. He's on his 13th lap. Now we've had the change around. The BMW of David Gooding was ahead of Owen Hizzett significantly. The Ginetta is ahead, and David Gooding has lost a massive amount of time on that lap. So the margin between Now, number 74 Ginetta and 179 BMW is a big one, and the leader now pits as well. So Julian Wantling is in. So at the end of this next lap, we'll get an idea of what the real order is going to be.
Yes, it may take a little while longer than that, though. But, I mean, we've got the relative pace of the drivers now. Jim Edwards, Julian Wantling has done a very good job. Jim is a little rusty. I begin to think with increasing confidence that the Frost Carer car could well win.
Yes, it's certainly possible. We haven't yet had a lap time out of Lee Frost, have we? The road, of course, is drying all the time, so that's helping those more powerful cars that were struggling in qualifying. And don't also ignore the chances of Axel van Nederveen, who's done a really good job in the all-white Ginetta in that first part of the race and is about to emerge from Luffield in a moment into Woodcote Corner.
Okay, with Lucky Carer. Now, David Addison's just said that the Lee Frost Lucky Carer car is the car to watch that could take the win, so you're going to be pleased with that, aren't you, Lucky?
Oh, yeah, God bless his words, you know what I mean? Be happy with the win.
So you had to make up a lot of ground in the early stages, but closing up towards the end of that session.
Yeah, we made the wrong tyre choice earlier on, and it went against us, but, you know, apart from the little tingles of sciatica in my left leg, I'm all right.
Fortunately, it's the left one, so it's not the right one, otherwise you could have some problems with that.
That's right, yeah.
But Hurricane one day and now the BMW the next, so, you know, how do you find driving both different cars?
Yeah, I mean, they're very, very, very different cars grip-wise, but I enjoy the challenge.
That's what it's all about. Thanks,
okay.
Lucky, cheers.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, so Lucky Carer now watches Lee Frost charge on, and we have had into the pit lane, as I say, Julian Wantling. So, along with Rob Baker. So the majority of those that were in the leading group early on have now made their mandatory stop, and we've only got 16 minutes to go.
Well, in fact, there's only about 3 cars that haven't yet made the mandatory stop. One of them being the currently third placed, although it'll be different probably by the time they've asked you, Luke Handley, with his Golf. But he may take the lead, actually.
Right, now over the timing line, getting slower and slower in a sense, is the David Gooding BMW. It's falling away and is about to be lapped by the Lucky Carer car, which goes through in the hands of Lee Frost now. So number 98 BMW goes through. It's about to get, as I say, track position away from the BMW of David Gooding. On the road, they are 8th and 9th, 4.6 seconds between them. But Lee Frost is about to very easily dispose of the BMW, the yellow BM ahead of it. But of course, the advantage at the moment has gone the way of number 74 Ginetta.
Yes.
Owen Hizzy now, having moved ahead of the yellow BM, it's really the Ginetta 74 versus BMW 98.
I agree with that, and of course Hizzy has just done the new fastest lap of the race in leaping up to 6th, or recovering to 6th for that car, with more to come.
Steve Rollery goes through in 3:08. Also there, Johnny Campbell, having taken over from Rob Smith, goes by. And what we need to see, of course, is where Jim Edwards Jr., Jim Edwards of Assetto Motorsport fame now, is after taking over number 128 relative to the Ginetta 74 and BMW number 98 of Lee Frost. 51 into the pit lane. It's Luke Handley's car.
So did he actually get the lead? Possibly.
Yes,
not.
as he comes into the pit lane.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, so briefly. Little good did it do him. So now we wait for Wantling and Van Nederhaven and the rest come pouring through. Axel Van Nederveen's done a good job thus far, but as he dropped back on the pit stops, I think he might have done behind the Mazda again.
Yes, he has. Yeah, they're 10th and 11th. Well, they were 10th and 11th last time through.
So Luke Handley car in pit lane. Stationary, the crew just checking tyre pressures. So everything looks to be okay.
The pit window's now closed, so there may be 1 or 2 cars still in there, but I don't think, David, certainly not the top 30 is a car that has yet to make a stop.
No, indeed. We have got one coming in, but I think it's got a problem rather than it being a scheduled stop. Right, Mark Lee, having given over to Owen Hizzy, can watch the number 74 Ginetta go by. And Owen Hizzy, the fastest man on the circuit last time around, is slightly slower this time, but takes the lead of the race now. So number 74 leads the way. In second place should be Lee Frost, number 98, who goes through now and is 14, 15 seconds back. Then you've got David Gooding, and then you've got Axel van Nederveen. Now, where is... Yes, Josh Tomlinson in the Mazda is ahead of Jim Edwards, but also factor in Brian Brownson, number 40.
Okay, and the Handley 51 car back on the move, so pit stop done.
The red and yellow BMWs are not that far apart at the moment, with the number 98 car now with Lee Frost at the wheel. Not that far ahead of David Gooding. They're in,
But lapping 5 seconds a lap nearly quicker.
Oh, well, that would
So
probably
he's passed it and pulled away.
Yes,
So that gap's going to grow, I think.
yes,
So it's Owen Hizzy versus Lee Frost.
yes.
Van Nederveen is lapping quicker than David Gooding. Jasper Sapra is lapping quickly, and we haven't yet got a flying lap out of Jim Edwards. Number 19 is being given a 1 second stop-go penalty. It's Callum Noble for being short on the pit stop, so he's a long way back, and I think he's just come into service anyway. Yes, he has, the purple BMW. 1 second stop-go penalty.
Yeah, 17th when he came in.
Yeah, and unfortunately he stalled the engine a little bit, and it turned out to be probably about a 10-12 second stop go by the time it got going again.
Well, it's not your race, it's not your race. So we've got 12 minutes on the clock. Of course, these cars have a second race later on in the day, but with the other driver starting where it's a double driver entry. But right now it is Owen Hizzy, who has done the fastest lap of the race, ahead by the best part of 15 seconds from Lee Frost, but can he preserve that for 12 minutes? He's certainly braved through the traffic coming into Brooklands. So number 74 Ginetta accelerating now up towards the end of the lap, the car from SVG Motorsport. More back markers are ahead. This will put 15 laps in the book, so to confirm the order, number 74 it is, Owen Hizzy now leading the way, and then there's quite a gap between him and Lee Frost. That lap was a 2:22 from the race leader. Second is going to be Lee Frost, but he's a long way back. Now third is David Gooding, fourth is Axel van Nederveen on his tail, fifth is Jasper Sapra, so those three as one. And then there's quite a gap back before you get Josh Tomlinson in the Mazda and Jim Edwards in the Ginetta. The lead gap, we've still got Rob Baker's Volkswagen in the mix, haven't we, which I've rather ignored. So that car is being caught by Lee Frost, but number 6 Volkswagen is still there in second place.
But it's being caught, I reckon, by Lee Frost.
Yes, that's what I said, but it's still there in second place, yes. But I'm trying to work out how it's got to second place and stayed there, because it was never part of the leading gaggle, was it?
Well, it was the one that had that big moment in the lead coming into
and hence dropped back.
So
So
it didn't drop that many places.
Well, it was never in the top 6, was it?
No, I would say the top 10. Certainly.
But how's
top
it got to second then?
Late stop. It stayed out a long time. But there could be there was a cast aspersions. Maybe it was a short stop. But it was in the lead when it came in, wasn't it?
It did a 2 minutes 1 in the pit, so it was a very good stop relative to other people. That might be where it's bought itself some time.
So there it is, second. Lap time slower than Lee Frost. Quicker than David Gooding. About the same as Axel van Nederveen.
It was on the front row of the grid, but
Yes.
yeah, I think it's just a very, very good pit stop relative to others that were slower. We've got 2 minutes 14s, 2 minutes 40s. It was a very slow stop, I think, from Julian Wantling to give way to Jim Edwards. That was 2 minutes 40, so a lot of time lost there. So that's probably one element that it can buy back places. Right, the leader comes into Brooklands then. So there is Mark Hizzy, who was 13 seconds clear of the Golf last time. He's got yet more back markers to worry about. Lee Frost still pushes on as he tries to close onto the tail of Rob Baker, and he's almost there now then for second spot.
We've got yellow flags here at Maggots because as the car pulled off, I'm afraid the numbers are a bit difficult for me to...
It's the Mazda, isn't it? It's the Josh
Yes,
Tomlinson
it is.
Mazda.
Yes, it is.
Right, over the line goes Rob Baker in second place, and we're getting a black flag for somebody. I'll come to that in a moment, because to the inside line goes Lee Frost, and he's done it. He's taken second place going into Copse Corner. So change has happened for second. Down to third is Rob Baker. Fourth is Jasper Sapra. Fifth is Van Nederveen. Sixth now is David Gooding, and seventh is Jim Edwards Jr.
Right, that change of pace you're talking about comes past through the yellow flag zone, although I think it's now ceased to be. Yes, the car's being pushed behind the barriers, the Mazda, and the yellow flags are in.
And the black flag is to go with a stop-go penalty board for number 28, which is for Matt Charrington now, because they were 1 second short of the pit stop. So the Ginetta is still leading the way. Mazda is out of harm's way. The race has 8 minutes and change on the clock, and it is now Owen Hizzy being chased by Lee Frost.
Have you mentioned number 40 lately?
Yes. To finish my point, the lucky carer Lee Frost BMW up into second place, but with a big margin and only a couple of attempts quicker last time, so I'm not convinced that that gap's going to come down enough to give them a chance to fight for the win, but it's been a good effort nonetheless. Now the classes, class 1 being led by the overall leaders, even though they've lost second spot. Rob Baker and his Golf still had class 2. The class 1 invitation elements, Lee Frost and Lucky Carer, still clear there. You have to go a long way down to find the leading Clio, and it's Charlie Hand in 19th place. Class 3 being led now by the Harry Yardley Rose and Reese Hurd Volkswagen Golf. And we are currently looking at 7 more minutes on the clock as we anticipate the race leader coming now out of Luffield, with more back markers between him and the traffic behind that he has to factor in. But Lee Frost doing his best, but it's not going to be good enough. He's just not close enough, and he's got a whole wall of back markers, in fact, to contend with this time. 7 minutes on the clock as the leader goes by. So what do we think? 3 more laps?
At least, I would say. Yes, probably 3. 3 is likely, yeah.
There in second place is Lee Frost. So over the line he goes, and the margin he's trying to bring down is 13.6 seconds. He has brought it down on that last lap, but I'm not convinced he can get there in time, because I think that was a slow lap in traffic from Owen Hizzy. In third place now is the Brian Branson, now Jasper Sapper of BMW. Fourth is Axel van Nederveen. Fifth is Julian Wantling, Jim Edwards, Ginetta, with Jim at the wheel of it. So where's the Golf gone to? Rob Baker.
Well, there's a car that's pulled off between Cops and Maggots.
Ah, yes.
And can you see it on the screen? It's too far away for me to identify it.
Oh, I can see a car that's pulled off at Vale, actually. And that's a Golf.
Right, well, that might be the one you were looking for. But there is certainly a car pulled off. Oh, it's got going again. So I'll be able to tell you which it is in a moment. '51 is the one I can tell you about. That's Luke Handley.
Right, okay. And the Golf, I think, has come as though it were heading to the wing pits, into the pit lane at the bottom of Vale, but out of the race, Rob Baker. So that therefore puts up into 6th place again, the Gooding Greensall BMW. 7th is Francois Desbois. In 8th place is the Audi TT, number 13 of Ryan Parkin. In 9th place is number 70, Julian Thomas at the wheel. And 10th is the Peugeot 308, number 308 of Steve Rothery.
Yeah, Sebastian Desbois has done a quiet job of just getting on with it, and has risen up the order to a decent position in the top 10 now.
Yeah, he was on the 12th row, as you say, circulating quite happily in the Ginetta G55A, in other words, built for the Ginetta Academy. So 5 more minutes are on the clock, and the lead gap was going up within the first sector as Owen Hizzy pulled away a little bit more. Great shame that for the Rob Baker Golf, because it had been claiming many a giant by good pace, the smaller engine car against some of the big bangers there.
Well, if you've seen his spin up here, or near spin, he's a lucky man. It was a lot of skill that kept that under control, or half under control.
Leader goes through, so that's now 18 laps done, and try as he might, Lee Frost is just not getting there in time. We've got 4 minutes on the clock. He goes through now to break the beam, and the gap is 15 seconds, so it's actually gone up again, so it's pretty much game over this. For third place, Jasper Sapper goes through the very smart BMW, and he's still being chased by Axel van Nederveen, who is not giving up. Now the gap between those two is 1.8 seconds. Nederveen slightly quicker last time, and into the pit lane comes Jim Edwards. So right at the very end, the car that's in 5th place, 128 Ginetta, comes into the pit, and in the gravel is the BMW of David Gooding at Luffield. Now I wonder whether those two things are connected.
Yeah.
So
I suspected they are, because they were running in the next two places, weren't they?
The 128 Ginetta just served the stop-go.
It has, and I thought that was for 28, which had come up on the screen. That's what I told you about. Number 28, not 128. So either my eyes have gone, or...
No, it said 28, David.
Right, OK. Well, 128 has served it, possibly in error.
Yes, so that perhaps not connected, just coincidence.
Yeah, anyway, the Ginetta has been in and has served a stop-go, and we've got waved yellows now over at the exit of Luffield, because David Gooding is facing the wrong way, in the gravel on the outside of the road. And we've got 3 minutes on the clock.
Well, if you have a large entry, you're going to have a lot of incidents going on, I suppose.
Quite right.
But, oh, what's that?
That's Nigel Greenstall being told the bad news, I think.
Yeah, whereabouts has David got off?
Exit of Luffield.
Exit of Luffield.
So the marshals attending to that car, but there's no way it's going to get pushed out of the gravel. It will have to be either left there under waved yellows or snatched out of the way. And with 2 minutes to go, I'm not convinced that that's going to happen. So there it sits. But yeah, the Assetto Motorsport Ginetta stop-go slightly puzzles me. That might be one to research, Gary, if you can. Or maybe if she's listening, Jade Edwards sitting out in Bahrain can get in touch with the team and ask what they were doing, because the timing screen said 28, not 128.
Well, I know the track is getting drier by the minute, really, but so we've just had an absolute best middle sector from Lee Frost, absolute best first sector from Sapra.
So the BMW is getting well wound up. Can't be doing absolute best in the third sector at the moment, because you've got the yellows there with the car in the gravel, but with a minute and change on the clock, where is Owen Hizzy, who's done a very, very good job in that Ginetta.
He has...
Jasper Sapra now, fastest lap of the race, 220.753 last time around in his quest to catch and indeed keep at bay Axel van Nederveen, which he has succeeded pretty much in doing.
Yeah.
So with Julian Wantling and Jim Edwards Ginetta having made that pit stop, that brings Sebastian Debois up into contention. It puts Neil Wallace and Ian Astley sixth behind them, seventh for Arne Parkin's Audi TT.
That's mighty, considering where they started, where that car started, up to seventh place.
Shows, doesn't it? Keep going, keep out of trouble, go round and round and round. And it's a fairly standard TT, it's not one of the cup cars, that, is it? Looking at the lack of rear wing on the back of it. So we're into the last minute of the race. This is lap 20, so the checkered flag should greet the leader this time.
Right, the leader's just gone past me then, heading down Wellington Straight now for the 20th time.
Indeed so. Flag imminent then, with 17 seconds on the clock.
Through goes the bit past me, Lee Frost in the red BMW, number 98, second, but nothing like close to be challenging.
And with the car that led the first stint sitting in the gravel, the car that chased it comes past, ready to take the checkered flag, because up towards the line Mark Lee started. Owen Hizzy brings it home and scores honours in the first Britcar Trophy race of the day. The Ginetta wins then, with 1, 2, 3, 4 back markers to come before you get to Lee Frost in the BMW that comes through now, number 98 then, that started 45th on the grid and finishes second. Lee Frost and Lucky Kera finish in a very, very well fought, well deserved second place. Third will go the way of Jasper Sapra and Brian Branson, the car that also gets the fastest lap of the race. And then for fourth, Axel van Nederveen, number 111 in the Ginetta. A long wait before we get the fifth place Ginetta of Sebastian Debois.
It's all pretty close there, 5th, 6th and 7th, as you will see when they come into your sight.
Okay, so can we have another shuffle there? You've got Ian Astley and also Ryan Parkin in that little mix. The Nissan, that's had multitudinous pit stops, is going to limp back in for one more right at the very end, but it gets out of the way of any quicker cars squabbling for position in so doing that. Right, so where's the train for fifth place? Coming into view now then. Debois is still ahead. and then accelerating up towards the timing line. And where does Julian Wantling slot back in after the pit stop? Right, so first of all, we've had a change for fifth, so it's the Neil Wallace and Ashley Ginetta that gets fifth on the last lap, sixth Sebastien Desbois, seventh is going to be Ryan Parkin, but only just because Jim Edwards is right on his tail as they go across the line to be eighth. Ninth is Steve Rothery in number 308. And then the top 10 is going to be rounded out by number 79 BMW, Charlie Hollings, bringing it home. We've not really mentioned Charlie in that race, but he, as you expect, gets the car by the scruff of the neck and brings it home in 10th spot. All good stuff, that. Lots going on.
Plenty going on. The other Parkin has come through well as well. They started side by side on the empty track of the grid.
Yes, and comes across the line now to be 11th.